All right, thank you so much, Eric. Um, and just to continue highlighting the book talk, this is Dr. Leslie Flatt's book, The Dharma of James Baldwin and Audre Lorde. Please go ahead and pick that up somewhere. It's really wonderful. Integration of Audre Lorde's work and James Baldwin's work together, and really like synthesizing it through some of these really basic early teachings of Buddhism. So we'll be in dialogue um, about the book on Wednesday. You can join online as well. If you're local, please join us at Caris. Caris is our really important feminist, queer, trans bookstore here in Atlanta as well. And Caris was the first place we did our Radical Dharma dialogue, which was um, 11 years ago now. So, so yeah, please check this out. Please get the book. It's wonderful. It's she, um, Rima is a scholar, professor. She is like the historian of like the Black Buddhist movement in the West here in America, I would say. So she really does a lot of her research is cataloging the development of Black Buddhism. Um, and if you graduated from Union recently, you've studied with her as well. She used to teach at Union, but now she is in Asheville, um, now working and teaching as well. Okay, anyway, please join us. It's going to be wonderful. And thank you, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to our Medicine Buddha practice. Welcome to those of you who are new. Happy Imbolc as well. For those of you who are practicing Imbolc and the honoring of Bridget. And Imbolc is the celebration, the observance of really the end of winter and the beginning of spring in kind of the Celtic kind of calendar. So we celebrated that on Saturday as well, which I forgot to say anything about it in our session. Um, on Saturday. But anyway, happy Imbolc. The end is near. So basically, the end is near and the beginning is coming again. I guess we can say that. Thank you for everyone who joined us on Saturday for Vajrasattva. It was a really wonderful gathering. We have much more work to do, so you'll be hearing more from me as well. And we'll slowly start incorporating Vajrasattva into practices as well. All right. Yeah, how are you doing? Who would like to check in the chat? Just like how's your heart right now? How's your heart? We have to get into the habit of just like checking in at the beginning of our practice, you know. And in the spirit of James Baldwin, we have to practice naming things, right? Which is what we do in our meditation practice, mindfulness. We have to learn how to name things because that's such an important part of our liberation, our freedom, right? It's hard to get free from something we can't name, right? This is why we spend so much time thinking about samsara, right? And identifying samsara because we have to have an understanding of what it is we're getting free from, right? To name what you're getting free from is like touching the ground. Like it's starting with the ground. Like we always have to start with the earth in any liberation work, right? Even the Buddha touched the earth as he was approaching awakening. So touching the earth is telling the truth about what's happening, how we're feeling, right? And as we tell the truth, as we name it, we start to feel, right, what we're struggling with. That feeling is the really, besides the naming, it's the next important phase of this liberation work, right? To feel it is to learn how to experience, beyond thoughts, with the beyond narratives and storylines, right? Like getting into the feeling is really the first of the two arrows, right? It's the in the sutra. I'm thinking about this because Rima talks a lot about the second arrow teaching as well, and applies that to both James Baldwin's life and Audre Lorde's life. But the first and second arrow. So the Buddha taught that there are these two experiences of discomfort, the first arrow and the second arrow. The first experience is the arrow analogy is like, getting, shot by an arrow. You know, like you get shot by an arrow, you feel the pain, right? So that's the first experience, the pain, the sensation, right? And then the idea of the second arrow suggests that on top of the pain is the suffering. Right. So not only do we feel the physical pain, we feel the mental pain, right? The sadness, the anger, all of that comes up with being physically hurt. That's the second arrow. So the Buddha taught we have to cut through first this layer of suffering in order to get down to the foundational experience of discomfort, the pain itself, right? Um, And this is very much aligned with this teaching around like telling the truth. Yeah, we tell the truth about how we're feeling, but then we have to get beneath that, right? To let go of thinking or talking about it and to start experiencing what is this experience of discomfort? What is this felt experience? And in the feeling, we go deeper and deeper until we start getting into the experience of emptiness, right? You have to go through phenomena to get to the emptiness, right? It's the old Tootsie Roll Pop commercials, right? How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop, right? Which is highly erotic. And if you grew up in that era, if you grew up in the 70s and the 80s, if you were alive then, it was like highly erotic. How many licks does it take? That's been appropriated into many other, kinds of scenes as well, by the way. Right. But that's it. Like that's really the focus of the practice. How do we get to the center of things? How many licks does it take? Right? Right, to get to emptiness. How much sitting does it take? How much concentration and mindfulness does it take? How much focus does it take? How much steadiness does it take to get to the essence of the experience, which is the essence of everything, all phenomena. All phenomena has the same essence, emptiness. We talked about emptiness on Saturday. Um, and it makes me think that we may at some point explore a few texts on emptiness. Emptiness is something, it is a state, it is an experience. It's not something, it's very hard to talk about, it's hard to articulate, right? It's hard to sometimes even know that you are experiencing emptiness. It's very easy to get it wrong, right? And I see so many people, and I've met people, right, who think they have these experiences of emptiness, but they really don't, you know. Um, but as I often say, we know that we are touching into emptiness when we start suffering less, right? Not bypassing more, because that can happen too. It's like we think we suffer less because we're just not dealing with shit anymore. But no, the experience of emptiness is felt as an alleviation of suffering of the second arrow, right? Even in the midst of the things that you avoid the most, there's an alleviation of suffering. And that's when you know you're touching into emptiness. When you're no longer avoiding, but you're going full on ahead into the chaos, and you're like, okay, I'm okay. Yeah, like I have to go to therapy, I owe taxes, the world's falling apart, but I look fucking fabulous, right? That's the teaching. Yes, the world's on fire, as the Buddha taught in the fire sermon. Yeah, everything has always been on fire. Yes, we're in systemic collapse, we're in polycrisis, right? And you can feel all of that. You can feel the fear, the terror, the rage, anxiety, all of that. And you can also feel the space. And in the midst of all of that, you can sit and say, you know what? And I still look fucking fabulous, right? Because the world is falling apart, it does not give me excuse not to look fabulous, right? Have we not learned anything from the generations of drag queens that have so shaped our lives and continue to do so, actually, right? Which is what we're trying to get to. We're trying to get to this space, right? As we kind of turn into our practice, we're trying to get to this. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just like bypassing everyone's responses to the first question. Yeah, overwhelm, rage, grief. But aren't you tired of it though? I mean, it's the grief, the rage, the brokenheartedness, right? The heaviness. At some point, you have to get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And some point, it's very important for you to do that, right? Because that's where this real motivation for liberation comes from, is like when you hit these really intense states and you're just in it, right? And you're like, but I don't have to be here though. There's got to be something else. It doesn't matter what's happening that triggers this. Like there will never be a time where conditions are perfect for us to choose joy. Like we can't wait for utopia to happen for us to embody and experience joy. Because I'm sorry, that doesn't happen, right? So at some point, we have to choose our gratitude, choose our joy, even in the midst of real collapse, even in the face of death, because that's really the ultimate training here. We're preparing for this moment of transitioning from this body and doing so in a way that feels really grounded and clear and fluid and courageous, right? And you don't wait till it's time to die to practice that, right? That's not the best time to start practicing. It's a lot happening, right? We start practicing joy in the midst of real suffering right now, right? Every day, every second, we're having to choose this, right? You have to find your way to feel fabulous and be fabulous, even when you're not around a lot of fabulousness, right? Like you have to find a way to make your garden grow, even in the midst of winter, right? And I think about Andre Leon Talley, who, of course, was influenced by Voltaire and the French Enlightenment, right? But Andre Leon Talley, you know, that was the one thing that moved me about his life was his generosity. That cultivate your garden, right? And offer the fruits, the harvest of your garden to all those you love, right? But you have to cultivate the garden first. You have to find your joy, your gratitude, you have to find a real sense of groundedness and stability, right? To begin to cultivate something that can be offered to others. I'm not trying to cultivate a garden of shit so I can just keep handing out my shit to everyone. Everyone else is doing that, right? We have in the United States, we have this government full of like people cultivating shit gardens and throwing that shit everywhere, making us dirty. You know what? We may get dirty, but we don't have to believe that we deserve to be dirty, right? Like we resist like that cultivation by cultivating our own gardens of what we want to see. If we want to see peace, if we want to see love, we want to see, joy, that's what we invest in. That's what we build communities around, is cultivating that, right? You can't wait anymore for others to do it for you, right? We have to have this agency. This is why I love Dharma so much, is because it's reminding us that we have the capacity to choose liberation. We don't have to wait for someone to do it for us. Yes, we have people inspire us. That's what the bodhisattvas do. They inspire us, right? They inspire us to do the work that they're doing. But then we choose to do the work. No matter where we are, no matter where we've been put in life, we have a choice to do that, right? And I choose to cultivate a sense of fabulousness, right? Yeah, yeah, everything's falling apart, but God damn it, I look fabulous, right? And I want you to make that your mantra, but you have to believe it though. No more, no, we're not gonna fake it till we make it. Fuck that. You need to believe it, right? I deserve to be here. I deserve to take up space. I have a right to be free. Right. I have a right to resist. I have a right to organize, to protest. I have a right to articulate how I feel. I have a right to name myself. Right. I have a right to have access and autonomy over my body. Right. You have to hold on to that. That's the fabulousness. Right. It's that agency. Right. And it's such a wonderful time to be here in the body, in this world. Right. Um, there's so much there would be so much gratitude, when you complete this life, right? The ways in which you've shown up, the ways in which you've said yes to practice, this will be a source of deep gratitude, right? Yeah, it's not about being perfect. Yeah, it's rocky, like let that go. I know some of you are always talking about how you want your practice to be different and better, and you want all of this stuff to happen. But like you miss the point. Like I don't really care necessarily about the destination. I care about how I'm getting there, right? I don't care how I look doing the work because if you're really doing liberatory work, you're going to look a mess. But you can reclaim that mess and call it fabulous. Right? Um, yeah, you have to like you just have to be okay with just being messy, and looking like you're struggling, and that's it, you know. Um, like that's what liberation work is, both politically, socially, but also ultimately spiritual work. It's the same struggle, really, just different focus, but like the same kind of effort, right? Like the effort is what you do till you get free. Forget about getting free, which is hard, is a hard teaching, but like, yes, we have the aspiration to get free. So you have that, but then you refocus on the moments and the effort you're putting in the moment to remain or to practice clarity and kindness and love and care, right? In doing so, helping us to develop a clearer, open relationship with emptiness itself, right? And if you just focus on this moment, pouring all this labor in a loving, kind, clear way into the moment, you're going to get to the goal, right? And yeah, it's hard, it's messy. You will make very hard decisions. It's very heartbreaking, right? But that's what getting free feels like, right? Like you're pushing through samsara, you're pushing through this carcerality, um, the density of everything, the illusion of everything, the suffering of everything, all that we're pushing through that by embodying a real sense of agency, right? This is why I keep saying and keep, and we'll do this on Thursday at Free Radicals again, right? It's that have you really chosen to get free? Or are you just trying to hang out? Are you just trying to find a corner in some sorrow to be comfortable in? Right. I don't, that's because that's not the Dharma that I teach. It's a Dharma of comfort and hanging out and chilling. There are way better places, way better realms to chill than in samsara, right? Um, and so as say in the community, keep your eyes on the prize, right? But you keep your energy and your focus in the moment. Uh, keep your energy and focus in the moment. Everything isn't what it seems, right? The data that we're collecting through our sense faculties, as the Buddha taught, you shouldn't necessarily trust that because it's actually not the truth. The truth is the emptiness, right? Everything that we're experiencing arises out of emptiness. That's the second arrow. And in a sense, like that's the secondary experience. We're trying to get to the primary experience, which is liberation, freedom, non-duality. You know, everyone's a hot mess. Being a mess, it's a skill, right? It really is, but a real practice of messiness, a real liberatory practice of messiness when you let go of performativity, and you start getting real, right? That's when shit changes, right? The realer you get, right? Like the more truth reveals itself. And the more you realize how everyone else is really terrified of being a mess as well. And so they feel threatened by you when you start breaking it down, right? I mean, I went through many years of people telling me that I was all kinds of things, crazy, disillusioned, irresponsible, all because I wanted to live in a monastery and wear a maroon dress. I mean, like, I don't get it. And shave my head and like take a new name and go into like a cloistered retreat. Like, I don't know where they were getting this whole cult accusation from. I really don't. Maybe you know. But then you survive it. You survive all the hard conversations, right? All the questioning, all of this trust, all of the walking away people do because people will leave. They'll be like, I can't be a part of this. Whatever you're doing, don't count me in. Right. And then of course people's fucking tune change when you get a little famous. Right. When you end up on the stage with Angela Davis, all of a sudden it was like, oh, I knew what you were doing. I get what you were doing. I was like, the fuck you did. Right? I have a right to cuss people out and to let people know. And I do. I'm like, well, 15 years ago, you said that like I was wasting my life, but all of a sudden, it's like you want to jump on the bandwagon. That's not how it works in my world, right? And but this is what we do. This is nothing. What I've done is nothing compared to what so many people have done, like Harriet Tubman or Audre Lorde or James Baldwin, the ways that they had to figure out who they were in a world that was like so violent. Right. And some of you knew these people. Some of you knew Audre Lorde. I know some of you knew Audre Lorde. You know, Essex Hemphill is another person that I know some of you knew as well. Essex Hemphill taught me a lot as well about Blackness and queerness. But let's get started. Let's get started into our practice, please. You know, we'll go ahead and finish up those prayer requests and just, you know, make those nice and neat and clear. Because when I'm in this practice state, it's hard for me um, to yeah, sometimes pronunciations and certain words, it's just like I'm just speeding through, you know. So getting those clear and like, you know, straightforward is really helpful. You know, as we get more people and more prayers, you know, it's not that I don't want to limit the prayers, but having them clear is really helpful to read as well. Okay. Um, Fantastic. We'll continue doing some protection practice at the end. We'll go back into Durga. Maybe we'll do Tara. Maybe we'll do some Vajrasattva. You know, I'm just like really like whatever, whoever wants to join the party these days. I'm like, okay, whatever. Maybe Bridget will come. I don't know. Bridget, who I think is also an expression of Tara as well, one of the mothers. Okay, so let's begin. And always, let's begin just by finding your seats. And so we're finding, noticing the weight of our bodies, the seat rising to hold us. And of course, beneath us is the earth, the mother. We greet the land. And as you greet the land, you offer appreciation, gratitude. What are you grateful for about the land, the earth? And so just to think about that gratitude releases this energy, flows this energy back into the land. That flow creates a deeper kind of intimacy with the earth. The earth-based practices, you know, aren't complicated. They're just about acknowledgement, gratitude. And from that gratitude, we learn how to offer. And the offerings help us to deeply, much more deeply attune to the consciousness of the earth as an expression of the sacred mother. And so this is touching the earth. So as we touch the earth, we turn our attention to the sky, the space above our heads. The sky, traditionally, in many indigenous cultures, represents an expression of the sacred father. As the sky opens, clears, removes, holds, watches. And this is the sacred duality of the earth and sky, mother and father. And now we turn some attention into our intentions for practice that we are practicing to get free and to help all beings get free. Right? This has to be the primary intention. This is the bodhicitta, that I'm only doing this to alleviate suffering and to help all beings to alleviate suffering. In Medicine Buddha, of course, we like to say that I am practicing to become the medicine for myself and for all beings. And may this practice teach us to flow like medicine into the needs of all beings. So as we continue getting into the inner practice, I invite you to imagine calling into your space all of your benefactors. Now, our benefactors are all the beings in the universe who love us, and love is the deep wish for everyone and everything to be free from this, from suffering, from delusion, from pain, for all beings to remember what they are as expressions of this emptiness, space, and energy, as expressions of God, God as a state of complete liberation. So we call these beings who hold that wish for us into the space, all kinds of beings. It doesn't matter what kind of being, just call them in, welcome them. Welcome to all the beings who want me to be free. Be you deities, angels, Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Dharma protectors, be you guardians, guides, elders, spirits, even embodied humans, we can call their spirit, their consciousness into our practice as well. And so feeling the gathering of these beings around us. And you can just feel this gathering. You can have a visualization. I would suggest doing whatever feels natural. Don't force anything. So in my practice now, it's not that I'm seeing anything in my mind. It's more so that I just feel it. Right? I feel the gathering of beings who love me. I feel the space around me becoming dense with their energetic presence. I feel a warmth awakening in my heart. And that warmth for all of us is the ways in which they're beginning to radiate this energy of deep care, deep love, right directly into our heart centers. And if you listen closely, when I say listen, not necessarily with our ears or anything like that, but when I say listen, it's like feeling, an intuition, right? So if you listen or feel really deeply into this, you may feel this articulation, this expression of love for you. You may even hear the words, I love you. May you be free. You deserve to be free. You are loved. You are loved. You are being held. You are being watched over. Even sometimes in my ancestor practice and work, I can hear my ancestors praying for me. To hear someone praying for you, like we do every Monday in our session as we read the prayer requests, as you offer prayers for yourself, you can hear me pray for you. You can hear and feel the community online hold these prayers for you. That's what this awakening or this gathering of all of our benefactors can feel like. That there are countless beings loving us, praying for us, wanting us to get free. And as we feel this expression of love, we begin to reflect on what we need. There's a lot of rage, brokenheartedness, a lot of disassociation as well, a lot of grief, despair, hopelessness, right? Think about where where the struggle is. And again, telling the truth as this first work of liberation. Where are you hurting? Where's the aching? And when you find that place, that experience of aching, when we turn our attention to our opening mantra, Om Minla Sange Kino, Soha Medicine Buddha, please think of me, know me, look upon me. We're drawing Medicine Buddha's attention to where we're hurting. So we began by first chanting Om, then the mantra 3 times, then finishing with Om. And we begin. Om la sange kino so Om la sange hino so Om la sange hino so And just like that, Medicine Buddha awakens within the very heart and experience of our aching and the grief, the hopelessness, the rage, sadness, or the aloneness and isolation. Still feeling also this expression of deep care from our benefactors right in our heart centers. We also feel the awakening of Medicine Buddha. And as Medicine Buddha awakens, just noticing what form Medicine Buddha takes. What do you feel? If you're seeing something, what do you see? How subtle is this experience? Because Medicine Buddha and any deity or Buddha can be as intense as an awakening experience, or their rising can be as subtle as just like a gentle, slight breeze on a spring day. Medicine Buddha can be a thought, a feeling, a memory even. There are no rules here as to how the Buddha show up. But as Medicine Buddha awakens within this aching, this experience of discomfort, we imagine that Medicine Buddha begins to become the medicine, to ease, to soothe, and to tend to this aching. Letting the medicine, the blessings of Medicine Buddha dissolve into the very nature of this aching. And so we turn our attention to the main mantra, Teya Tao, Begenze, Begenze, Maha Begenze, Rasa Sumongate Soha. Right? And like this, I pray for the end, the pain and suffering, and the root of pain and suffering. We dedicate the energy of this prayer, this practice, this devotion out to the liberation of all beings. But first, we pour this blessing into our own experience, letting the mantra as well as the blessings of Medicine Buddha become the medicine that we need in our aching in this moment. And may it be so. O Teyandam Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Rasa Sumungate Soa Teyandam Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Rasa Sumungate Soa Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumungate soha. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumungate soha. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumungate soha. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumungate soha. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumungate soha. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumungate soha. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa rasa sumu gate soha. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumu gate soha. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumu gate soha. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumu gate soha. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumu gate soha. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumu gate soha. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumu gate soha. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumu gate soha. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumu gate soha. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumu gate soha. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumu gate soha. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumu gate soha. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumu gate soha. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumu gate soha. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumu gate soha. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumu gate soha. So just staying right where you are in your practice. So this medicine Buddha is becoming this medicine for your aching. In the next section, in the next part of our mantra, I invite you to imagine that your whole being starts becoming an expression of this medicine, that you actually turn into the medicine that medicine Buddha has been for you. And as we move into the second part of the chanting, just allowing yourself to imagine, to be curious about what it could feel like to become the medicine. Don't think about it, don't analyze it, just allow yourself to expand into being the medicine. And you may find that you're a very, very sweet medicine. You may find that you're a very bitter medicine. But guess what? The bitter medicine and the sweet medicine, there's a place for both. But just noticing, right? So we begin again. O te anda begenze 마백은 세라스 수문가 테소하 대안다운 백은세 백은세 마백은세 라수수문가르소하 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 대안다운 백은세 백은세 마백은세 라수수문가르소하. So again, staying exactly where you are in your medicine contemplation, I turn my attention to the prayer request. And again, Once again, just calling the attention of all of the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, all the Dharma protectors, all the beings of light, any being in the universe who wants us to be free and healed and safe and awakened. We call your attention and we offer these prayers to you. And we offer these prayers on behalf of ourselves, but also on behalf of our beloveds, our community, our collective, the world in general, that you fulfill and bring to fruition really these prayers, and may you continue to bless us so that we also have what we need to become the medicine for all beings. So we're offering prayers for all those who are hurting. We're offering prayers that I become fine-tuned with patience, clear voice, courageous, deliberate action to live in rhythm with our collective liberation. Prayers that I get the resources I need so that I can continue to wake up for the benefit of all beings. Prayers for the self-love I need to go and move on. Prayers for Kathy, Melissa, Judith, Kay, and Joy. May Mr. Bentley have a safe journey back to the spirit world, and blessings on Wendy and her mourning. Prayers for the liberation of all beings from suffering. Prayers for Brooke and his journey of recovery from prostate cancer. Offering prayers for Pinky and her son, who was hospitalized due to diabetic complications and missing 2 sessions of dialysis during the storm. Both his brothers preceded him into the bardo. I pray for joy in the midst of the apocalypse. On the path of liberation, may we experience the feeling of the inevitable freedom. Prayers for all of us in the Sangha doing the work of liberation for ourselves and all beings. Prayers for N and R to be healthy, well, and at ease. Prayers for me to find balance and productivity in my wintering. Prayers for all beings to be free in the next breath. Asheo. Prayers that I stay clear on my liberation path, that I receive and welcome the medicine that I need. Prayers for everyone who is cold, hungry, or afraid right now. May all beings feel the warmth, nourishment, and care from our practice. Prayers for AA and JP who are dealing with cancer and disabilities. For K who is dealing with chronic illness and health issues. For SG who is dealing with disabilities, financial issues, and isolation. Prayers of gratitude for my guides, angels, ancestors, Buddhas, nature beings, light protectors for helping me to get free, supporting, and protecting. Please stay with me and help me stay strong and keep my mood up during this difficult time. Prayers that I find a job or a variety of streams of income that are joyful and that will sustain me through chaplaincy school. Prayers for my physical, psychological, spiritual, emotional wellness after an extremely challenging time. Prayers for a successful move next week. May I transition to my new life with ease and grace, gratitude and expansiveness, safety and protection. Prayers for ICE to be abolished. Prayers for an easeful, smooth birth for my beloved C and her baby and our baby. Prayers for Ad who and their direction in life. May they claim their power with ease and joy. Prayers for Cynthia and the beginnings of her cancer treatment. Prayers for hope, prayers to welcome my grief, prayers for liberation from dismay, prayers for the people of Palestine, Iran, Sudan, the Congo, Ukraine, and everyone experiencing genocide, violence, and oppression. Prayers for my continued discovery of my purpose through my passions. Prayers for Sullivan, Adeline, and Joy. May they be blessed in all the ways. Prayers that I accept and embrace this new medical diagnosis and love my body through this transition. May I be supported as I'm grieving my partner's loss. Prayers for C, A, and Z as they continue to grow and know each other. Prayers that Dan finds a kidney soon. Prayers that I find my clarity, courage, creativity, and conviction. Prayers for my ability to relax. Prayers that Nick has the care she needs. Prayers for my community, that we may continue to nurture and strengthen our bonds throughout the coming time. Prayers for my mother Mary, that she may have what she needs in her elder years. Prayers for my trans kid and their partner and all beautiful trans people. Prayers to all those suffering, especially those feeling loss, depression, anger, and who are lacking support. May all beings remember who and what we are and be free. Prayers to everyone grieving. Prayers that I may find joy, gratitude, playfulness, and delight. Prayers to receive and feel all that I have prayed for. May clarity find me and reveal the next steps forward. Prayers that through heartbrokenness comes understanding and expanded compassion. Prayers that I not be paralyzed by fears, that I be protected and guided to contribute to liberation for all. Prayers for a new world to emerge from the muck like the lotus, allow us to bloom. Prayers for Richard's upcoming wrongful conviction hearing. May he experience freedom and justice. Prayers for me and my daughter as we begin therapy together. Prayers so that I can be more there with myself and in the present moment. Prayers for myself as I grow through these changes, and with my daughter and my life path, and transform my pain into medicine. Prayers for Nancy as she makes her major changes in her life. Prayers for Lexi H and her daughter Mira as they await the results of Mira's chemo for Hodgkin's lymphoma. Prayers that it has worked and that she's in remission now. Prayers for CS and the passing of her stepmother, who was extremely difficult. Ongoing prayers for Ricky Joyner and his journey with brain cancer and his wife Diane as she cares for him. Prayers for Aviva to recover from recent illness. Prayers for myself, holding lots of anxiety around my own health issues and those of the people that I love. Prayers that I could actually rest. Prayers that I can feel the love of the ancestors and people here now. Prayers that I can settle down and do some much needed writing and stop procrastinating. Prayers for my 99-year-old mother as she reaches the end of this life. Prayers for safety for my trans son and his Latinx partner. Prayers for Karen as she begins chemo today for her breast cancer. Prayers of gratitude for not succumbing to hypothermia in the snow on Sunday, trying to do too much and understand and underestimate Mother Nature. She said, sit down, and I did. Thank you, Ma, for showing me my limitation. Ashe. Prayers of gratitude to Molly, the dog next door who lives outside. Humans, they've really gone above and beyond to make sure she's protected and warm as can be during our current snowfall. Ashe. Prayer for more strength and less exhaustion when power shields people from accountability. I pray for all social and personal injustices and for S. Prayers for Lizzie and her morning sickness. May she be held by the earth and may her sickness alleviate. Prayers for deep love. Prayers for Megan. May she be healed from her ongoing suffering. Prayers for Michelle. May she stay sober and find her way. For all the beings suffering from violence and oppression. Prayers for Tiga Colby. May his heart be healed and miracles take place in his battle against sickle cell disease, that he may have a long, fulfilling life free from chronic pain and illness. Asheo. Prayers for my yoga nidra teacher Michelle as she seeks a cure for her stage 4 ovarian cancer. May she have more time to spread the Dharma. Prayers that I may find somewhere to truly flourish in my gifts, flourishing so thoroughly that a sanctuary of love is created within me and the world and the hearts of others. Prayers that I may be a part of a warm, loving, consistent, and authentic community. Prayers for the health of my body. May all the cells of this beautiful physical manifestation in me be fruitful and full of energy to be able to serve this world. Prayers that my coaching practice may become a balanced practice and one that gives a loving, sweet, bitter, caring, liberation support to immigrants, LGBTQ plus community, BIPOC community, and all those who wish to be free. Dear Lord, my beloved, please give me protection and clarity. I am very confused and afraid that I've lost my way. Prayers for little Charlie. May she recover from her respiratory distress. And may the doctors understand the cause. And we continue to pray for the liberation of all beings in this moment, for the complete abolishing of all systems of violence and harm, from patriarchy to ableism to totalitarianism, fascism, and everything. May we all remember as quickly as possible, not just who we are, but what we are. May we all remember our innate Buddha nature, and may we return to our Buddha state as quickly as possible. May this be so for all of us as soon as possible. May it be so. We offer these prayers to all of our benefactors as they move about to bring to fruition these prayers, and that we also feel the blessing of these prayers as well. As we transition back into our mantra, into our work, as we continue to rest within this experience of being the medicine, you can continue just to be the medicine, and I also invite you to imagine that you begin to flow into the world as medicine, that you are the medicine that's moving into the world, into the lives of all those we've lifted up in prayer, and to all those who are struggling against genocide and occupation and famine and so forth. Just offering yourself as the medicine, which is your expression as an awakened Buddha who's just trying to remember what you are. So let your medicine flow, be the medicine, and just let the medicine find its way to where it needs to be. So we begin again. Uteyanda umbegenze begenze ma begenze Raza sumungate soha. De ana umbeyanze, beyanze, ma beyanze, raza sumungate soha. De ana umbeyanze, beyanze, ma beyanze, raza sumungate soha. De ana umbeyanze, beyanze, ma beyanze, raza sumungate soha. De ana umbeyanze, beyanze, ma beyanze, raza sumungate soha. De ana umbeyanze, beyanze, ma beyanze, raza sumungate soha. De ana umbeyanze, beyanze, ma beyanze, raza sumungate soha. De ana umbeyanze, beyanze, ma beyanze, raza sumungate soha. De ana umbeyanze, beyanze, ma beyanze, raza sumungate soha. De ana umbeyanze, beyanze, ma beyanze, raza sumungate soha. De ana umbeyanze, beyanze, ma beyanze, raza sumungate soha. De ana umbeyanze, beyanze, ma beyanze, raza sumungate soha. De ana umbeyanze, beyanze, ma beyanze, raza sumungate soha. De ana umbeyanze, beyanze, ma beyanze, raza sumungate soha. De ana umbeyanze, beyanze, ma beyanze, raza sumungate soha. De ana umbeyanze, beyanze, ma beyanze, raza sumungate soha. De ana umbeyanze, beyanze, ma beyanze, raza sumungate soha. De ana umbeyanze, beyanze, ma beyanze, raza sumungate soha. De ana umbeyanze, beyanze, ma beyanze, raza sumungate soha. And so, still resting in this experience of being the medicine. And within this being the medicine, we awaken this aspiration, a prayer actually, for protection. So may we awaken to this protection. May we experience the protection that is inherent in our awakening as medicine. And we call into the space once again the blessings, the practice of Mother Durga, the great fierce mother, endowed with the power of all the deities, all the gods, whose fierceness is feared by those who are not about getting free, but whose fierceness is understood as deep love and care by all of us, those of us who are about getting free. May we experience the sweetness of her fierceness that can take us all the way back to what we really are. Om Dum Durye Namaha. Blessings to she who is beautiful, to the seeker of truth, and terrible in appearance to those who would injure devotees of the truth. Beginning with Om Dum Dagaye Namaha. 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 And with this blessing of Durga, of all the mothers, including Tara, including Bridget, of all the blessings of all the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, as well as the great sacred fathers, and the blessings of Medicine Buddha, may your medicine be deeply attuned to your suffering and the suffering of others. And may your medicine alleviate all the suffering in the world. May you become a medicine holder, a great bodhisattva who will continue to guide beings to the state of complete awakening. May it be so. We release this final blessing to this world. May this world be free. May we all have what we need to navigate, to survive, and ultimately to thrive in this new world that has already been born, that has already awakened. And may we realize that as quickly as possible. And so slowly, we just let everything dissolve into emptiness. All of our benefactors, ourselves as medicine, all of the Buddhas, medicine Buddhas, will everything dissolve into emptiness. And in doing so, letting your mind, your awareness just be, without thinking, without narratives, daydreaming, any of that. Just let your mind rest. Let your awareness be. And whatever we're struggling with still, just release it back into emptiness. Over and over again, release, let go, returning emptiness back to emptiness like water returning back to water. And so when you're ready, shifting attention back to the seat and then the weight of your body, then the seat and your body meeting, allowing your body to slowly come back into focus, becoming aware of sensations of the breath. When this feels stable, beginning to reawaken your body through movements, a simple, slow movement. If your eyes are closed, slowly opening your eyes, adjusting to light again. And as we practice in the mind training slogans, we become a child of illusion in this post-meditation space or experience. So after you meditate, allowing some of this spaciousness, this openness, whatever awakened for you in your practice, allow it to linger. But don't hold on to it, don't grasp onto it, but just to let it be there. Let go of hopes and fears. Like if you had a really good meditation, let go of the fear of never having it again or the hope of having it again. Let go of both of those. That's the only way we can train to deepen the experience, is to let go the fixation and the agendas and just let it be. Right? To move through the world, yes, having hopes and agendas and goals, absolutely we can have that, but also having none at all is the space we're trying to find ourselves in. Right? Whatever happens, happens. And why can whatever happens, happen. Why are we letting that happen? Again, it goes back to what we were just discussing at the beginning of our session, which is, right, as if I can trust myself to invest in this moment, to show up to this moment with awareness, with care, with love, with a lot of spaciousness, then I don't have to worry about the next moment or the moments that are coming down the road, because I'm planting the seeds of a garden that will harvest in a way that will be deeply beneficial for me if you plant the seeds right now in the moment, right? I don't sit around and have all this anxiety about the future. Like, what can I do about the future, right? The future is the future, but what I can do is pay attention to the moment and do and work in the moments. I cultivate the seeds that I want to to sprout and to flower in the future. Your So another way of saying this really is that the awakening that you want has nothing to do with the future. It has everything to do with right now. What's happening now? Where are you right now? Right? The point isn't to be free from suffering. The point is to pay attention to the suffering, allow suffering to be held, right? And to understand that suffering is just an experience. That everything is just an experience. Right? Emptiness is an experience. Awakening is an experience. Anger is an experience. Sadness is an experience. Messiness is an experience. They're just experiences. They're not what you are. These are just experiences arising, right? Energies that are being shaped by our consciousness into phenomena, right? And the more we just allow this shaping to be, the more the shaping begins to thin itself out over time, thinning back into this really subtle, nuanced experience of emptiness. This is the emptiness that we're trying to get to in our practice, the subtle, this thin, subtle kind of wisp of experience, right? Not this huge, phenomenal event, but just this experience. That this body is an experience. My awareness is an experience. Consciousness is an experience. Right? This sense of I, self, is just an experience. All right? So we'll go ahead and I'll move into Shantideva's prayer, which we'll recite 3 times, and we'll conclude our session. Okay. May I be a protector to those without protection, and a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for all those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they all pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for all those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I also support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. And finally, may I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for all those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. May it be so. All right. Well, thank you everyone for your practice. I'll have time for like maybe one or two questions.
All right. Well, as those are maybe queuing up, I'll just go ahead and offer some final practical announcements. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing your healing presence. Thank you so much, Lama Rod, for this beautiful practice. If this offering supports your liberation, please donate to help sustain Lama Rod's healing activities in the world. Every contribution makes a tremendous difference. Yeah, your generosity really matters. So thank you. And the Medicine Buddha Quick Links document, as always, tons of info. All right. Miss Sharon, what's up? Let me go ahead and make sure you can unmute. All right, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Greetings, Lama Rod and Sangha. My during my meditation, I flashed on the shamanic scene from the movie Sinners,
Oh yeah, tell me all
and
about
uh, and I've been doing a lot of work around that movie.
it. Uh-huh.
It's been a great teaching
Mhm.
experience for me, and I just wanted to bring that up in space and see if you had comments, Lama Rod.
Yeah, well, this is ancestral memory. That's all it is. It's just like you're just like me. It's remembering, right? You know, when I first saw, I saw Sinners three times in the theater. Like I've never even seen a movie twice in the theater, let alone three times. But the first time I saw it, I was in tears at the end, and I was like, "What's going on?" It was like, "Oh, remembrance." Like this is what was taken away, right? And this is also the gratitude that I experienced because I've been working hard to reclaim that. And the movie just validated all of this. You know, it's like the movie was like, oh, you're doing exactly what you need to be doing to remember what your ancestors did and to reclaim their medicine and their magic and how important it is for us to do that. This is why this is an age of re-indigeneity. This is why so many of you are having a lot of experiences because you're trying to figure out who your people were before you were white or before we were black or Latinx, right? Before these systems, who were our ancestors? So this is a matter of time traveling and memory back to remember who we descend from before the systems. That's what we're trying to reclaim now, right? I think Sinners was one of those movies that came through. I think the ancestors moved this movie through, made it happen, just like they did with Harriet as well. You know, like the spirits are very strong right now in getting our attention, especially in media, because that's where we are. We're in media, pop culture, social media. So they're working skillfully, you know. So yeah, so just remembrance.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a powerful healing and teaching experience, and I'm so grateful that it's available in the world.
I can't believe it was, yeah, I can't believe that it happened. I mean, it's just like, it's subversive as hell.
Well, and it gives me so much hope for the young people, that young artists are tapping into that ancestral wisdom. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a question in the chat that I noticed a couple of times.
Mm-hmm. Is that can you share the difference
Yeah.
between Medicine Buddha and grief work practices?
Yeah, so the difference between medicine Buddha and grief work practice, the difference is, well, there are different levels, I think, of ways to talk about this. I mean, ultimately, there's no difference because grief work ultimately is remembering the nature of grief, right? And my grief work practices, right, it's trying to get us back into the essence, like into the emptiness itself, right? But we have to allow grief to have its way, right? It's not about controlling grief, it's not about managing grief, but it's about tending. The tending is just allowing the grief to lead us, to allow the broken heart to lead us, because it's always going to lead us to the liberation, right? But we don't get that because we're always resisting discomfort in general, not just grief, but all discomfort. We always resist it. But in fact, grief or in discomfort in general is trying to take us back to its essence, which is Mahamudra. You know, and so with grief work practices, you will soon be receiving information about another program. So we're doing a 9 month grief work program, and you wonder where we get the time from. Time is just an illusion. And you'll get information the next week. We're going to start in March, but we're going to do a 9 month journey through grief, incorporating all the past 4 years of grief work into one study and practice. And we're going to be introducing some new rituals and ceremonies around grief, rooted in kind of like my ancestry, rooted in like Ghanaian and Burkina Faso, like the regions where my kind of older ancestors are rooted in. So I'm reclaiming some of that, a lot of that actually, a lot of that work, and pairing it and putting it into conversation with everything that we do, Dharma and indigenous practices, shamanic practices, herbalism. Um, so it's going to be really dynamic, really different. It's going to be a really different exploration, a deep dive into grief as well with a lot of support. So that's going to come in a bit, okay? Um, so Medicine Buddha, so there's one more thing about this question, Medicine Buddha and grief work practice. Yeah, I mean, when we, like in the practice we did today, when we say, okay, I'm becoming the medicine, may the medicine tend to where I'm aching. And that becomes the grief work, right? And we don't have to get more involved than that. Like, we don't have to just be like, oh, calculating everything. But we can say, I'm going to trust that the blessings of Medicine Buddha will become the medicine that I need. And then you pay attention to how that medicine is forming for you, right? Um, and there's just a lot of grief right now. This is as we were studying last fall. This is apocalyptic grief on top of every other grief, right? But this is what we feel experiencing, not just systemic collapse, but rebirth. Like we're being born again, but that's real hard, and we're entering into the fire horse year, right? Next week, and it's gonna get real rocky, you know. But it's okay, because we have our practices, we have this community. We're just gonna keep showing up more and more, right? And we just ask that you keep supporting us. It's not just me; it's us. What can you offer? What can you do? You know, how can you practice in a deeper way that's going to support all of us as we move through this? And we'll get to the other end of it. We'll get to the other side, but we'll get to the other side of this. But as we get there, we're going to have to face this tidal wave of grief. Like you think it's intense now, right? But wait till we get on the other side of this. And this is what I'm training you all to be prepared for. Is to have these practices, to have community, to reconnect to ancestors, which we're going to be doing this summer. We're going to be doing collective ancestor work in a really unique way as well, right? So we're preparing ourselves. Like your training is like a boot camp. You're training for what's coming, right? As I have been trained for what's coming. Right? So I think this is really exciting, actually, because you will have very powerful medicines to offer. I mean, you already do, but you will have even more in the future. But you have to stick with it, you know. Um, all right, I think that's it.